and welcome again to the IAEG, How IAEG is Enabling Aerospace ESG Insights webinar. As we move forward, our objectives here today, we want you to understand the latest milestone we've reached in the sector initiative. It's been a few months since our last webinar. We'll make sure that you also and the follow-up have links to those previous webinars to refer back to, because we did do a part 1 on understanding how IAEG is enabling sector insights. We want you to understand the EcoVadis platform and sector level view. The most important to me is this third one. We want you to feel best prepared for your first assessment, or if you're joining us as members from IAEG companies, we want you to experience what the supplier will experience so that you can best help guide. Then lastly, we want to certainly emphasize that this is all about delivering value to your organization, as well as certainly it delivers value to your customers in the aerospace and defense industry. And so those are our goals today. And so we'll spend the first few minutes just recapping the journey we've been on and the latest milestone we have reached. And then the bulk of the time, we will be hearing from EcoVadis and an EcoVadis user via supplier with Removall to give you perspective there, and then closing out on reinforcing the why that this is important to all of us. If we move forward, I just want to touch upon within IAEG a fundamental component that allows us all to come together to collaborate in our sessions that have led up to reaching the milestones we've reached is our compliance program. And certainly with the large representation of the aerospace and defense industry, over 70% within this community of IAEG members, we need to pay special care to the guardrails of how we do business and how we collaborate. So as you can see here, this is actually brought up at every meeting that IAEG hosts. So we feel it's important that you as suppliers understand that we follow a strict compliance program and everyone gets trained in this when they come on board, and it helps us be able to focus on the good work that's being done with the right guardrails. And if you're not familiar, I want to tell you a little bit about the International Aerospace Environmental Group. And so where I got that 70% from is this chart. So as you can see here, the full membership at the bottom, we are growing. We're up to 56 members. But right there in the center, that's our vision. And we're developing our vision for 2030 now. But you can see that in our latest vision, we're focused on tackling the climate change, chemical stewardship championship, fostering sustainability, and engaging with the supply chain, which has been one of the newest and most enriching components that is happening within IAEG and what brings us here together. And so we look to be that leading industry organization. What's driving us to need to accelerate our focus is global regulatory drivers. And so there are enterprise level regulatory disclosures with supply chain implications. We're addressing the supply chain social and environmental risk management. It's certainly an evolving and expanding landscape. Even in the last 2 years, it has matured and shaped. And then we also see where it's going, meaning the expanding emissions and climate risk disclosure regulations with supply chain aspects where relevant. So we understand that the challenge of keeping up with the regulations, but you can rest assured that we're all looking at those and making sure we're bringing to you information that will help you be prepared to support our compliance with those obligations across the globe. If we go on to the next chart, over to you, Mark.
Okay, thanks very much, Ashley. Welcome everyone from my side. So Mark Walker, I work in Airbus, and I'm the co-lead with Ashley for this working group within IAEG. Just 2 or 3 slides. So Ashley has already described to you why we all need to be interested in how we're all performing from an ESG perspective in our respective supply chains. And this diagram, particularly the small one with the little grey and red dots, is meant to describe to you the value add of this approach. So in the past, what we have all done as independent companies is we've recognized the requirement to have this visibility. We've all gone out there, we've all either developed our own approach or we've selected different providers, and then we've come to you and requested you to reply, to get back to us, to provide us feedback on where you're at. The problem is we've all done that independently, and often we have each come to you. We have common suppliers, and you've found yourselves having to reply to numerous different questionnaires at numerous different times. Quite simply, what we're trying to do here is to make it leaner, more efficient, more cost effective. In other words, come up with a voluntary standard for our industry such that you're not being asked the same question several different times. So we set about the task to make sure that we develop a set of requirements, and we recommend on IAEG's behalf what we believe is the best solution out there. And then as many of us as want to within IAEG adopt the approach. Maybe if we come back to the next slide, please. Thank you. So where are we up to? So the project was launched beginning of last year. We ran a thorough RFP process, started with a number of possible providers. And basically at the end of that session, we selected one, EcoVadis, which is now the IAEG voluntary standard for ESG assessments. We've now been working with the different IAEG members who, as a reminder, built the specification together to sign up one by one as they wish to this voluntary standard. And so far you can see all of the different names who have signed up. So a number of the big players across our industry. So we're really pleased to be at a point now where we have actually over 50%, actually over 60% now of the total IAEG member revenue turnover signed up and ready or already underway with this initiative. We have an ambition to get to 80% by the end of this year. And during next year, we're confident that we'll achieve 1,000 suppliers within the sector pool at the end of this year, by the end of next year to get to 10,000. So today is all about explaining to you how it works, what's out there, what EcoVadis has to offer. So at that point, I shall hand over to Ryan from EcoVadis.
I'll start. Thank you very much for that introduction, Ashley and Mark, and for IAEG and the members for this opportunity to share with your suppliers a deep dive in the EcoVadis assessments. So I'm going to start with a short introduction on who EcoVadis is and our approach and how our approach is beneficial for suppliers, part of the IAEG initiative. I will then have my colleague Ryan Kilburn walking you through our assessments and our methodology, and you will then get the chance to hear from Removall, which is an IAEG supplier, about their experience with EcoVadis. So if we can move on to the next slide. Thank you, Ryan. So who is EcoVadis? So for those who do not know us yet, EcoVadis is a purpose-led sustainability rating company, which was founded 16 years ago in 2007. Our purpose is to guide all companies towards a sustainable world by delivering independent, actionable, and verified business sustainability ratings. So enabling the greatest numbers of companies to continuously improve their business practices through our assessments. So since our existence, we have now created a global network of more than 100,000 rated companies. In addition to this, I think it's important to mention that EcoVadis is currently the platform provider for 10 sector initiatives from different industries. And among the latest additions, we are counting the Airlines Initiative, the Hospitality, Automotive, and of course, the one that interests us today is the Aerospace and Defense Initiative, named IAEG ESG Insights, powered by EcoVadis. So as an organization, what is key for us is to deliver value to suppliers through this initiative. So one thing to know is that the backbone of the EcoVadis sector initiative offer is the shared pool of suppliers accessible by the 10 IAEG member companies, so represented by the logos on this screen. So the benefits for IAEG suppliers to share their scorecard in this pool with participating members are numerous. First of all, this is an opportunity for you to increase visibility of your sustainability efforts among industry leaders and differentiate yourself. So when suppliers are invited to do an assessment, the results, the scorecards, are being shared with all existing and future members of the initiative. So as you know, our industry peers often work with the same key suppliers, and this principle saves a lot of work for everybody. So it's important to note that the relationship, of course, between our requesting companies, so for instance, Airbus, Boeing, etc., and the suppliers are, of course, anonymized. I'd say the second benefit here of you sharing and being part of this initiative as a supplier is to get a clear understanding of commitment to going beyond compliance and sustainability by aerospace and defense leaders. So in this way, all suppliers are benefiting from a shared message from the entire industry. Last but not least, I think one of the key as well benefits for you is to access additional capability building and engagement activities without cost. So this can be supplier webinar organized by co-organized by IAEG members and EcoVadis, learning tools, trainings to address industry-specific requirements. So as we speak, we now have 950 suppliers who agreed to share their scorecard within the pool, and this represents 12 billion of spend covered by the members in the pool. Now I will pass over to my colleague Ryan, who will walk you through the EcoVadis assessment. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Laura, and thank you to the whole IAEG team for getting us all together today. So I'm going to walk us through the EcoVadis assessment, the questionnaire, and some tips and tricks to ensure that what we talked about at the very beginning is that you're best equipped for your first assessment and ready to succeed. So just to lay some groundwork again, not to completely go over what Laura was saying, but we've spent over a decade refining our methodology. We have very large industry breadth. You'll see some customers here that will be familiar just in terms of who you do business with, but also sort of global leaders. And they're all using our methodology and our platform to give insights into the performance of their suppliers and also their own sometimes, and really try to help make sustainability a business standard and how to best improve your sustainability performance within your own company as well. So lots of customers here, and the network is even growing by the day. So we'll just leave that. Don't have to really hammer home that point. So the EcoVadis benefits. So in addition to replying to your customers' requests and being able to provide that data, there's some additional, several benefits in addition to that. So part of going through a sustainability assessment, there's a lot of sort of proprietary or confidential information that is provided to validate your management framework, and we'll get into that a bit later in the presentation as well. But that's why it's confidential, it's secure, and we go through many sort of certifications and audits to ensure that that information is secure. There's lots more information on this as well. But in addition to that, your assessment is tailored to your company. So it's going to be based off of your industry, your size, and your location as well. So this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. This is a tailored approach to ensure that your questionnaire is accurate to your business, and as well as those insights that we provide are going to be material and will actually help you develop a good sustainability program within your company as well. It's available in multiple languages, and we cover almost every time zone as well. So you have the support and the ability to make this legible and effective. In terms of understanding your performance and understanding, we have CSR here, also ESG. So CSR being corporate social responsibility, ESG being environment, societal, and governance. These are all acronyms sort of in the sustainability space. But what we will give you is an easy to understand scorecard. So we're going to give you your rating out of 100, as well as across those 4 themes of assessment. And we'll give you the strengths and improvement areas. So it's more than just a rating, it is a path to improvement as well. So regardless of where you are in the journey of ESG reporting or sustainability programs, you'll figure out where you are, set the benchmark, and then be able to improve as well. You'll be able to figure out where you are in terms of your industry peers as well to sort of action the most impactful changes as well internally. And then Mark mentioned this easy sharing. So being able to have one scorecard that you can share with multiple customers. So as long as your scorecard is valid, which is 12 months after publication, you can share it without limit inside the EcoVadis network, which we can see is very vast. And being able to reply to multiple customer requests with just one assessment and one scorecard saves you that time and enables you to focus on the actual improvements rather than just filling out a questionnaire several times, providing the same information. And then, of course, being able to differentiate and recognize or sort of publish that recognition of your company. So there is medals that are available depending on your the rating that you achieve. So this can help with marketing, reach new customers, as well as posting to sort of differentiate yourself from your peers, and of course having the credibility of the EcoVadis rating, which is the world-leading standard or world-leading rating for sustainability standards here. Right. So we'll get into the next one. This is, again, sort of a why. There's lots of information and numbers here. And just as a reminder, you will have access to these slide decks and recording afterwards as well, because there will be quite a bit of information in my section of the presentation. Sort of what I want to focus on is the big green gear on the right-hand side of the screen, which is really focusing on the material impacts of the assessments. So this is information from 2021 into 2022 of our rated network. So you can see that there's an increase in customers using or producing renewable energy, taking recycling initiatives and actions at their company, in addition to reporting on DEI, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, and providing worker safety. So these are sort of hard facts to show that going through the assessment really not only gives you a rating and the ability to communicate to your customers, but actually puts in these impactful changes in the operations of a company, which goes a long way, especially when you consider the vast network that we have. There's many companies and many lives that are being improved by making them more sustainable and ensuring good business practices. There's a full link to the impact report if you're interested in any of these numbers here. And just before I go on to the next slide, the last number on the orange gear in the middle of the screen, it's an 8-point increase from the first assessment to the next evaluation. So that's showing that this really is a path to improvement, and you'll be able to have those tools to improve your rating. So even if you're going through the assessment for the first time, not happy with your rating, you'll have a path to improvement and be able to make those changes. So we'll go into the methodology here, which we'll go over a bit more, what to expect, what is a tailored assessment, and what are the sustainability criteria that would go into your assessment. So just to lay the groundwork here for the sort of big picture of understanding the process, we break it down into 4 sections. So first, if you're new to EcoVadis, or if you haven't been assessed with us before, you'll complete the registration form. And so it takes about 5 minutes to complete. It's just providing basic company information, such as number of employees at your company, your industry, and your location. And this is all used to tailor the questionnaire and the assessments to your company. It takes about 5 to 10 days for us to process that and produce your tailored questionnaire. And then at that stage, you'll be in the questionnaire phase, which is the second stage. So you have about 6 weeks to complete this section. Extensions may be granted depending on where you're at and customer requirements, but about 6 weeks to complete the questionnaire, provide your supporting documents, and then you can submit for assessment, which is the third section here, the expert analysis. So this is where our analysts will be going through your results, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to produce your scorecard and your corrective action plan and their suggestions, which is the results section, the last one. So this is sort of the best part of the assessment, is where you'll be able to figure out your rating, publish it, share with your customers, and then start working on those improvements as you see fit. As I said earlier in the presentation, your scorecard results are valid for 12 months after publication or valid for 1 year. So here is the robust methodology of EcoVadis. These are the 21 sustainability criteria which make up our methodology. Note that not all of these criteria will be activated as part of your assessment. As I was saying, they'll be tailored, but this is the full list of what what is sustainability and what are those criteria that we rate companies on. So to give you a better idea of what that is, here are 2 examples. So here's a manufacturer of aerospace machinery, and then another consultancy service provider. So you'll see that even in just looking at the environmental criteria, that air pollution is relevant for a manufacturer, but not so much for a consultancy service. You can see the full list here of the difference, and they'll be further tailored based off of your company size and industry and country of operations as well. So this is, again, just an example, so you can see how our approach is tailored to your company, and we'll be making a material assessment. And you'll have full access as well as part of the questionnaire over which impacts, or sort of which themes are the most impactful for your company, as well as which questions will be sort of ranked in terms of high priority or sort of high impact and low impact as well, to help be transparent about how we're assessing your company. And of course, you will have a engagement representative as well to help answer any sort of the more sort of fine questions or things like that. Apologize. Here we go. So talking a lot about management frameworks here, and so here's sort of further insights to help draw that out of exactly what we do. So in short, we're looking at 3 different aspects of framework. So the first would be your policies and value statements, mission statements, also as well as endorsements from external initiatives. So if that's like the GRI, sustainable science-based target initiatives, things like that would be included as part of the policies. And then secondly, we're looking at actions. So how you actually put those words into practice via your procedures and trainings. You can see that this section is the most heavily weighted because it's more about walking the talk rather than just talking the talk. And then so this is additional to certifications as well, which are third-party verified and further go into validating your actions at your company. And then the results section or reporting, so how you monitor and how you report on your progress year to year. So this all goes into what we're looking for. So your documents that you're providing will be sort of categorized into policies, actions, and results. And there's some examples there listed of what you can provide. And there'll be further examples provided in the documents guidance file as well. So this being talking about the supporting documents. So part of why our ratings are so are the world leader here is because they're all validated. Each response is validated and must be supported by documents in order for it to be considered as a response. So here's some examples of valid documents and invalid documents. Again, the document guide I was referencing is at the top right here, so you can get more insights. But essentially, we're making sure that what you're providing us is up to date and that it's relevant to the response that you're providing. So there's just to sort of outline even more examples of what you can provide. There's oftentimes an employee handbook is sort of the most cited document for sort of any size of company, as well as health and safety policies, internal trainings and procedures. There's things like mission statements, code of ethics, or if you have something external facing like a sustainability report, those are often they hold a lot of the information that we're looking for as part of the assessment. So you can upload those documents in addition to any third-party labels and certifications, including ISO certifications, eco labels, CDP involvement, CDEX audits. You get credit for all of these as part of your assessment, and you can you can provide those for your assessment. And there's a limit of 55 documents per assessment, and that is to ensure that we're not being absolutely inundated with documents, but also that the documents you're providing are the most relevant to your responses. And there's even guidance as well of how to meet that document limit if that's a problem. So you'll have some help on that side as well. So to give you a tip on how to succeed and prepare for your first assessment, it's always best to collaborate with the right people. So we recommend that you reach out to your colleagues in other departments to gather the information that you need, and you'll be able to add colleagues to the platform as well, towards the online questionnaire, so they can fill out the sections that are relevant to their business unit and provide those documents as well. Here are some examples of job roles that would be helpful for each of the themes of assessment. So example, for labor human rights theme, you may want to reach out to someone from your HR team, as they'll have the knowledge and the documentation to help in this section. And really, sustainability is a shared effort, so it's always better to work together. Jumping in here. So for a moment, if we remember the sort of reflect on what we've learned up to this point of the benefits of the EcoVadis rating, the assessment, and how it can really help your company. As part of this, of your involvement into obtaining the rating and being able to share with your customers, there is a subscription requirement. So again, sort of just to recap what we covered so far, you're having a tailored questionnaire, you're having insightful suggestions and feedback from our analysts, the ability to easily share your results as well. So as you submit your questionnaire, this is when you select your subscription plan, which is really aligning or helping you with those next steps. So what are you trying to get out of your rating, in addition to those things I've covered? Do you want the deeper insights? Is there, ability to publish your medal externally? Things like that would be questions to consider. So just to give you some very basic coverage of the 3 plans we have here. So with a basic EcoVadis subscription, you're receiving your scorecard with the performance benchmarking, and you're also able to share your scorecard within the EcoVadis network with as many clients as you like. It includes expert feedback, how-to guides, and introductory sustainability courses, and as well as the corrective action plan as well. So it's sort of a good plan for getting started. But really the best value is being the premium subscribers. And as part of this IAEG initiative, all first-time suppliers getting assessed with us will have an automatic upgrade to premium, which is great and really something significant as part of this involvement. So I would encourage everybody to, really try to make the most of this plan, because this is, as I said, sort of the best value that EcoVadis offers for their rated companies. And it's really something great that IAEG is doing for their suppliers here. So with the premium, you have all the benefits of the basic plan, in the addition to share your medal if you achieve one externally on your website, reports, promotional posts, things like that. And you'll have a full list of access to the e-learning suite that we have. So if you really want to take in those corrective actions and build out a knowledge base around sustainability, sustainable management internally, you'll be able to leverage those e-learning courses. And they even cover things like greenhouse gas emissions reporting, sort of where to start, or sort of even more basic of what it is, where to start, and where those leading standards, and really helping you sort of operationalize those corrective actions. So that's available with premium. And then with Select, just briefly, this is our highest level of support. So this is a dedicated account manager throughout your involvement with EcoVadis, really there to accelerate your sustainability efforts and get a deeper insight over your performance by offering things like analyst debrief, which is included, and allows you to have your results faster, as there's sort of a priority to getting those assessments. And again, full list of e-learning courses as well. So those are the subscription levels. And of course, to carry on those conversations, you'll have an engagement representative, someone like myself from EcoVadis, if you want to ask more questions about this. But again, just really highlighting the great work of IAEG to offer that premium upgrade for all first-time suppliers. So now that we've covered the process of what the assessment is, what to look for, some tips, as well as the subscriptions, we can get into more of the impact and the benefits of your assessment after the submission. So just quickly on the questionnaire analysis phase is that once you submit your assessment, we get started on the analysis and we'll review your third-party inputs like labels and certifications. And a reminder again that every response is validated. This process is again 6 to 8 weeks to complete, and then your scorecard is published. Again, showing that this isn't purely a self-reporting assessment, but rather we take in third-party inputs as well to validate and ensure that your rating is a world leader and the most verified we can offer. So here is an example of the EcoVadis Scorecard. So it's designed to help you understand your performance and manage your sustainability efforts. And again, it's going to show your performance in those 4 sustainability themes, as well as an overall rating, which you'll see at the top right-hand side. You can easily show, or easily see rather, how you perform across those 4 categories, as well as how you compare it to your industry peers. And for each theme, our experts will provide you with a tailored review of your strengths and improvement areas as well. And you'll see at the bottom here the benchmarking graphs, which help you analyze your performance against your peers. And yes, and it will help sort of coordinate or help with those efforts of if you're trying to catch up for rather a lack, or maybe promote something that you're doing better than your peers. So just to complement that, it might have seemed a little strange that a silver medal was achieved for the 62 out of 100, but this is where our methodology, or sorry, our scoring ratings come from. So it's not so much like academia where you're looking for an 80 or higher, and anything lower than that you're disappointed with. Rather, 45 is the medium here. So 45 out of 100 would indicate that you're actively engaged, you have basic policies on sustainability, and we consider this to be good. And there's, some basic reporting on your actions and performance indicators as well. So if you're scoring above 45, you're getting more and more proactive with your approach to sustainability, and there's detailed policies and significant reporting. In contrast, if you're below 25, for example, you're lacking in some of the sustainability engagement, but again, you'll receive lots of feedback from our analysts, and sort of the fear of scoring poorly on your first assessment, it's very understandable. But again, you're having that path to improvement, and you'll be able to improve that by putting in place those corrective actions and utilizing the benefits of that premium upgrade of the e-learning courses and the corrective action plan as well. So onto the carbon scorecard, sorry. Obviously a hot topic these days. So it's likely that your company will be eligible. There's very few that are not eligible at this time for a carbon scorecard. So in addition to your EcoVadis scorecard, you'll also get a carbon scorecard, which is helpful for gauging your management of carbon greenhouse gas emissions as well. So it's easy to understand, sort of set up like our other scorecard, and it's about your current carbon management, and it's sort of a foundation to help and guide improvements. It's set up very much the same of the strengths and improvement areas, and it's lined up with the leading standards, so it's congruent with the greenhouse gas protocol, and will help you move the needle on these aspects as well. In addition to this, the carbon calculator, which is available for premium subscribers, so this is something else that is being offered as part of this free upgrade, is the ability, if you're very new in these aspects of reporting on Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, you have the ability to do this within the platform. It's not a separate questionnaire, but rather the questions are integrated into the questionnaire that's available to your company, so that you can start, you can input those metrics and start making the improvements once you get your access back. So there is, so this is also available, and again, only to premium subscribers, which is part of the free upgrade here. The next, the metrics section, again, is integrated into the questionnaire. So if you're looking to track performance metrics in addition to just carbon that's available within our platform as well. Again, all in one easy to use platform. So you can see here that it's a simple way for quantitative metrics or indicators like energy consumption, water use, waste recovery, carbon and greenhouse gas emissions performance, and even things like injury rates and DEI metrics as well. So you can log your improvements year to year, and you can use your feedback, use our feedback to help guide those improvements. And you can even share this as part of your scorecard as well if you choose. Then this is the continuous improvements or the corrective action plan as part of the continuous improvement. So I was mentioning earlier how we give you that guide to improvements. So this is what it looks like, and there's even a version available for scoring insights, which goes into even more details. So you can see here that it's a highlighted improvement area, and we provide the guidance over how to implement sort of where this recommendation is coming from. There's a list of how-to guides as well, which is going to be related to that suggestion. And then it's a collaborative feature, so you can work with your colleagues, set timelines, and communicate to your customers through the platform of saying we're taking on this corrective action rather than sending off many emails. You'd have the ability to send it directly through the EcoVadis platform and collaborate with your colleagues. So this is really it was a sort of founding feature of EcoVadis back in the day, was that it was a rating, but also the path to improvement. And it's very good, it's insightful, and will be helpful with making those impactful changes. And then the last thing I'll mention here is sort of, again, with this continuous improvement is the e-learning courses. So you heard me mention earlier about for premium subscribers is that they're able to have access to the full list of these courses. So they're launched, it was launched in November of 2021, and it covers every criteria in our sustainability methodology. So you can get to learn more about each criteria, and as well as there's additional courses on things like greenhouse gas emissions reporting and things like that. So again, building out that knowledge base internally, very helpful, and you'd have the full list of these courses with premium, and we're adding to it every day, maybe every quarter would be more accurate. So we're making sure that it's a relevant and useful resource for your company, and is available in several languages as well, in case that's needed at your company. So with that, I'll pass it over to Komi from Removall to sort of give us an example of all this theoretical stuff, but actually in practice. So pass it over.
Yep. Thank you, Ryan, for the introduction. And many thanks to EcoVadis and IAEG team for organizing such webinar. Today, I want to share with you our experience of going through the whole EcoVadis certification process. We had a quite new CSR committee. The EcoVadis certification helped us to jumpstart our strategy. We managed to get the silver medal, so that's great, and we hope to have the gold medal next year. So about Removall, Removall is a carbon impact finance company offering carbon offsetting and investment services. We were the provider of carbon credits for IAEG fall and spring meeting this year. We also made the carbon footprint assessment of the events. And basically, we propose carbon credits to our clients, and we also invest in projects on the ground, mainly in Africa and in Asia. And we also launched recently an offering related to plastic credits, which is a new and emerging market in the frame of the UN Plastics Treaty ongoing negotiations. We decided to launch this offering to make partners with clients in France and in Europe mainly. We have a whole ecosystem of companies enabling us to invest in the project on the ground, and we have some values that are at the core of our engagements. Next slide, please. Thanks. So we are members of various networks. We are members of the network IETA, of the UN Global Compact, and we have many clients, mainly in France and in Europe. And also, we are currently 20 people right now. We are based in central Paris, and looking to be 25 by the end of 2023. We are directly investing in some projects, as I was saying, and we have sold many carbon offsetting projects last year and this year also. Next slide, please. So to deep dive into the EcoVadis assessment. And maybe if you can show the first box, it would be perfect. Thanks. So for the context, as I was saying, we are a small company. For EcoVadis definition, we are an XS company of 20 people specialized in environmental services, meaning that we already had some huge internal engagements for environment. We decided to make the first EcoVadis assessment last May for external and internal purposes. External meaning that we wanted to communicate our CSR efforts to our customers, and internal because we were structuring our CSR committee, so we were willing to have more advice on how to do it because we were quite new on this topic, to be honest. And about the time the whole certification process took us, it was about few days to understand the certification process, mainly what we are talking about today, and 1 week for collecting all the documentation. I think that this length is proper to each organization, and for bigger companies, it will take maybe more time, I assume. Regarding the benefits, of course, communication benefits as we managed to get the silver medal, definitely, but also lots of areas of improvement identified through the platform. And it was really interesting because, for example, on the environment topic, we had many initiatives ongoing, but there were no holistic point of view on that. So we did not manage to have a really high score on the environment theme. So we were quite astonished by that, and we have put some corrective actions in place following that assessment. What we really liked in the EcoVadis assessment was its dual approach. First, its approach by theme, environment, ethics, social and human rights, because it enables to tackle all CSR subjects within your organization. So we even decided within our CSR committee to name people responsible for each topic within the CSR committee. And we are therefore, each people is therefore responsible for the action plan for the coming year on each of the theme. And the second point about management is really great as well because it helps us to structure our CSR processes. And it helped us to have a greater holistic approach to CSR and what is the vision of CSR, the mission of CSR. So it was really helpful, and also to develop new reporting dashboard to better follow the actions we are implementing within our organization. The last benefit is the sharing of thematic roadbooks on the website as inspirations for new actions. So our main advice is to you, or first to name a single point of contact. And I think it's really important to have one person responsible for the whole EcoVadis certification process. And it's even better if this person will be responsible for the next year evaluation, because there will be room for continuous improvement and for tracking the whole harmonization of the process within your organization. It's even more true for big organizations, I assume. The second advice is to engage all stakeholders, and that point is really important. EcoVadis certification must have the support of the top management for being sure that everyone will be mobilized for providing the accurate data for the certification. And last but not least, I would tell you to take action now. The sooner, the better. I think there is really lots of rooms for improvement in each CSR committee of each company in the world. As I was saying at the beginning, we were scared of the start, but we are really happy now to have started this journey because we have put lots of continuous improvement processes in place. Yeah, it's for the better, and hopefully we will get gold next year. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Comé. It's wonderful to hear firsthand experience, and especially the words of advice as well coming. It's always helpful in these sorts of situations. So more than happy to have you here, and thank you again for joining. Just to provide some resources here to help with the next steps here is what we've covered in the presentation so far. Here's how to reach EcoVadis support in many different aspects or ways to connect with us. So of course, the getsupport.ecovadis.com being the major one here, but there's also, as I was mentioning, throughout platform guidance within the questionnaire, automated emails, and a designated point of contact who you'll have at EcoVadis to help link up with and answer any of those questions you have going through the assessment. This is again, just showing you how to use the contact us or get support from the EcoVadis side of things, and some common questions to include as well. I know we're going to have some time for some Q&A as well, so I don't really want to spend too much time here. This is more sort of latent resources available for you, including a platform demo which walks through the questionnaire process. So if you're new to going through the assessment for the first time, you will have an engagement rep who can offer this for you, or you can use the resource here if you sort of want to get started earlier. So again, you'll have a copy of these slides and can access the questionnaire demo here. So I'll leave this and we can sort of wrap things up and have some time for some Q&A at the end.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you to EcoVadis for presenting an overview of the solution today and what suppliers can expect for their first assessment. And Kome, thank you for sharing how Removall is leveraging EcoVadis to advance their CSR journey. But to close out, we wanted to circle back to why IAEG made this critical decision to expand its scope to the full spectrum of ESG. The member companies recognize that the long-term success of our industry, as well as each of the contributors along the value chain, depends on minimizing and managing our ESG impacts. And this includes not only the environmental space, but the social aspects as well. The breadth and the dynamics around these factors is going to require collaboration to ensure we're focusing our efforts on where we can develop the most impactful capabilities across the supply chain. So on the next slide, the Working Group 11 and the Sector Initiative, they're really created to accelerate sustainability in these three areas, the first being efficiency. So aligning to one common solution with a right-sized, tailored assessment will help reduce the administrative effort of our teams and help us to focus on those tangible actions that are aligned to your individual company's material risks. And then collectively, it will help to progress our sustainability journey in a quicker, more impactful way. Second, compliance. Ashley spoke about this a little at the beginning. But the sooner we get started, the better prepared we're going to be for our growing regulatory obligations, specifically here related to ESG reporting and due diligence. And then finally, value. More and more companies are aligning their organizational values and making environmental and social value generation a key tenet of their strategy. And I know we talk a lot about customer value, regulator value, investors, but another key stakeholder group that's worth highlighting is our employees and communities. And this is becoming an imperative for them as well. We hope that today's session was informative and you have a better understanding of the EcoVadis platform and the value that we seek to gain from the sector initiative. So here, if you're interested in learning more about implementing EcoVadis with your own supply chain, we've created a toolkit on the sector initiative. You can access it via the QR code there on the screen. As part of the IAEG initiative, you'll have access to more in-depth resources here on the screen and be able to leverage the collaborative synergies across Work Group 11. So now I will turn it back over to Michelle. She's collected some of the questions that have come in through the chat during the session.
Thanks so much, Nadine and all, for a great webinar today. I've got just a few questions from some of the participants. If anybody has additional ones, if you want to throw those into chat, so all of our hosts and co-hosts here can view those. We'll take a few questions here at the end since we have about 10 minutes left. First one coming in is really for EcoVadis. Is the expert analysis only based on assessment and uploaded documents, or are there any questions, answers, or audits? Ryan, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, for sure. It's a good question, and thank you for the individual who proposed it. So as part of the expert analysis, it is looking at the documents you provided as part of your assessment. So if there's any documents that you haven't provided us, they won't be considered as part of the assessment. Rather, the third-party aspects we're looking at here are if your company's been listed on perhaps like a red list by an industry, if it's been caught sort of maybe if sort of like a live news, if it's been caught having labor issues in another country, perhaps that you haven't reported on, that will be picked up as part of the assessment. So those are sort of more the aspects that will be picked up that are third party. What comes from, if you have an audit as part at your company, you will be asked to provide that as part of your questionnaire. And rather the third party or sort of the outside of your management framework will be picked up just to validate those responses. So again, going towards how we have a world leading ratings offering here is that it's not purely self-reporting, but also taking in the information from public databases as well to ensure that if a company says one thing but they're doing another, that's flagged as part of the analysis.
Thanks, Ryan. And one other one for you, after 12 months, the individual scorecard will expire. In order to renew it, do we need to start over again, or can we simply update outdated information?
Yeah, very good question. So as long as your subscription is active, so our subscription plans again are offered in 1 or 3 year periods. So if you maintain your subscription, it's very easy to undergo the reassessment. So your score or questionnaire rather will be pre-populated with your last year's assessments. So you just have to make those amendments to what's changed, possibly because of the corrective actions you've taken or some other things internally. So it's much easier maintaining a subscription to be able to go through the reassessment as it's pre-populated. If your subscription does time out, it will kickstart the questionnaire from blank. But essentially, yeah, you're resubmitting a questionnaire each time you get assessed to ensure that that information is up to date.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. A couple of folks have asked if there will be recorded versions of this session available. And yes, those will be made available on IAEG's YouTube channel very soon. So be looking for that. And someone asked about it, cost of an IAEG membership. So go to IAEG.com and our membership page, and you'll get all the details that you want there. For Ashley, Ashley, I've got a question. As a small business, will the assessment still work for them?
That's very important. So yes, the small businesses, what you'll see, and Ryan touched upon this, is that the questions will be right-sized for your organization with size being included. So I know in the past, sometimes you get these massive questionnaires and you end up hitting NA across the board. So this avoids that. This reduces the questions to the essential ones needed for that tailored to a small business. And with small businesses in mind, I should mention our annual report will come out and show our focus for 2024, but we are looking at actually hosting a dedicated workshop across all aspects IAEG covers, this being one of them, for small and medium enterprises next year, because it remains a focus area to ensure that small and medium enterprises understand all the resources that have been developed by IAEG, certainly are voluntary for use, but we think that they're very valuable, and we want to get your voice in helping us shape the resources of the future. So please stay tuned for that event in 2024 focused on small business.
Great, thanks, Ashley. And then for EcoVadis again, Ryan, what is the typical score of companies upon their initial assessment?
Sorry, Michelle, was that a typical
score of companies upon their initial assessment?
Yeah, that's a tricky one because it really depends on the company itself, how proactive they've been on sustainability initiatives prior to that. If you look at the scoring from the 0 to 100, again, 45 is about the medium, but that's for companies that have been assessed at least once. So I'd say on a first assessment, just sort of generally, you could look between 25 and 45, but again, that's super sort of, it's not cited very well. This is kind of just through my experience of companies going through the assessment for the first time, but there's certainly customers that have done much better than that. I think Removall being a great example of that.
Yeah, but Ryan, I think that's a great point, just to make sure and reemphasize kind of expectations for yourselves as suppliers going through your first assessment. Again, don't think of it in the academic sense of scoring. think of it as a great way to tell your sustainability efforts and pave a way to improving them. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And then one more again for EcoVadis. If we are a global conglomerate operating in many sectors outside of aerospace, how do we complete the registration to appropriately reflect our areas of operation? Are our overall company's results valid for the aerospace requirement?
Yeah, very good question. I saw that one and was going to touch on it. I think to get the most accurate answer would be to reach out to getsupport.ecovadis.com, because we can take a sort of a deeper look at this to offer a response for the time being. If it's the case that your company is a conglomerate, it will not be accessible. So essentially, if we can't pick a industry that is representative of the sort of the majority of your company, we have to break it down further than that. So rather than getting assessed at the conglomerate level, we break it down into perhaps just the aerospace division gets assessed. And our scopes of assessment will, we have a page dedicated to this as well to help outline how to move forward with that. So it could be the case where each sort of, maybe not business unit, but the legal entities underneath the conglomerate do get assessed to, again, provide impactful or sort of insightful material assessment rather than looking at 4 different industries within one company and not being able to really have the criteria that are most relevant. So my recommendation would be to contact our support team, begin that conversation, and you'll get the guidance that you need to complete the registration form.
All right, and Michelle, before the next question, can I ask Ryan to post the link to that demo? Because I want to make sure, we'll certainly make this recording available, but that demo link, I want to make sure is in everyone's hands before we conclude. So Ryan, if we can get that link posted, and then Michelle, back to you for the next question.
Okay, terrific. Thanks, Ashley, for the reminder on that. I've got a question on when my company is invited to join the platform by one of my customers, do I follow the same process or do I just participate to my customer's assessment and scorecard? So I don't know, Ryan, if you want to take that, or Laura?
Yeah, so I can jump in for that. So your scorecard is able to be shared with multiple customers, which is part of the benefit of going with EcoVadis. Mark highlighted it earlier. So with one scorecard, you can share with multiple customers. There's not going to be a new questionnaire each time you get a customer request, but rather just a request to view your scorecard, in which you can then share or decline at that stage. You'll have the option on your side.
Yeah, that was a big component to how IAEG wanted to approach this, because we appreciate and understand the potential fatigue that's out there across the supply chain. And so again, the model Ryan just indicated is all about saving you time and effort as well. And we're already starting to see just within our sector pool and those original 900 and some that Mark indicated have scorecards, we're already seeing a 1/3 efficiency in the fact of how it's helping just within the pool. So we imagine that efficiency rate, like everything else, is going to be on an upward trajectory going into next year.
Excellent. That's a great way to end it, actually. We're just at time. So if Ryan, you can advance the slide. I think we want to just say a big thank you to everyone that's presented, give you final contact information in case you'd like to engage with anyone at IAEG or EcoVadis directly. And we appreciate your time today. Any last words, Ashley, Mark?
Besides, thank you for taking the time. Certainly you're demonstrating your commitment by attending this session today, but just keep an eye out, because we're going to be bringing you more engagements and shorter bites of information and resources going into 2024. So following the IAEG LinkedIn is your best way to ensure that you get that information as soon as it's available. Mark, anything else?
No, many thanks to everyone. Looking forward to getting engaged with you all.
Take care, all. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.